Well, this is revelatory. I talk to Paul Preston frequently. Paul and I have been good friends for years and years and years, and he has treated me so well. When he had his first New California meetings, and he had people like Mike Huckabee there, I'm sitting at the table with royalty. Get to interview Mike. It was fantastic. Um, I have to tell you, Paul is one of the most impressive people I have ever met. Like me, he's been a basketball coach, he's been a principal, a superintendent now. He's got the biggest digital radio show in America, and he's the head of the New California movement. And what's New California? Our 51st state that Trump is fully supporting. The Trump people talk to him frequently, and I get tidbits. Some things I can tell you, and one of the reasons I get really good information is I know when to keep my mouth shut. So Paul is telling me a story, and I'm on my cross country trip right now to return home. And so Paul and I are talking on the phone while I'm driving, and we had about a 45-minute conversation. And he told me some things. I go, oh, okay, okay. And then finally he says, well, you can tell people. And I said, oh, you don't want me to keep this off the record. So you're getting something here that's breaking that no one else is reporting, that Paul, late yesterday afternoon, gave me permission to release. He works with the Trump people frequently on the New California movement. They want their two extra senators in a 51st state. They want the representatives to go with it. And New California is about a 50-50 split from the current state of California, mismanaged by Gavin Newsom. It's 20 million, 20 million. So it's an offset to the Democratic advantage in elections. They love it. But there's another offset coming. Here's the breaking news. Paul, and I've known this now for months, but I wasn't allowed to tell you. Now I can. Paul has been asked and has been facilitating four provinces who are showing interest in becoming part of the United States. The thinking is they're going to become a territorial status, possibly, before becoming a state, which is a real pattern. I know Arizona, New Mexico, in my neck of the woods did exactly that. And then Arizona became a state in 1912. But before that, they were a territory along with New Mexico. This is maybe the way they go, or they may just go direct. Hey, you're in. You're in. And here's your benefits for being in. Four provinces. And Paul is training them on how to do it. And they're using pretty closely the West Virginia model that was used in West Virginia, separated from Virginia to become its own state. And they're using a lot of that model. And Paul's at the forefront of this. He's going to become a household name. I mean, he being Paul Preston is going to become a household name before much longer. And why do I say that? Because when this movement becomes as well known as what I'm telling you right now, all eyes are going to be upon him. And he knows the media blitz for the mainstream media is going to be crushing. He's just going to brush it off and keep right on going. He's really doing great things. We hear talk of Canada being a 51st state. It's more likely we'll see three or four provinces be their own state, which really gives the people a better tie-in because there's regionalism and localism involved, and people better identify that oftentimes better than nationalism. So when I look at this situation, let's say it's four provinces and New California. That's 10 senators who are conservative and support constitutional liberty. And they believe that rights come from God, not from some dictator in a leftist party. This is huge, people. This is a huge development. And I believe the reason I was asked to release this information is this is the beginning of building popular momentum among the public for wanting this to happen. So I am proud and honored that I was asked to put this out. And I give my wholehearted support and pledge to this movement, and I have forever. I knew Paul before the New California movement, and we were criticizing the Jefferson movement, the Cal Exit movement. We were doing shows on that, on each other's shows. I'd go on his, he'd go on mine, and we talk about this. I never dreamed it would become this big. And I don't know that Paul did either, but he's a visionary. He is a true leader. I call him governor sometimes because I believe that if people are smart, when New California becomes a reality, he will be their first governor. That would be my hope for him. He never expresses any such desire. He's just trying to complete the mission. He's really pretty humble, but he knows what he wants to do. If you want to listen to Paul's show, and I'm not getting any money for telling you this. His show is called Agenda 21 Radio, and all you got to do is put it into a search engine, and you'll come to it, and it airs from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time. And he's also on Red State Talk Radio, which bleeds into other terrestrial radio stations. Paul was kind enough to get me involved with the people that run Red State, and my show's on there as well too. Yeah, we have a tight relationship. And one of the things I think that you're going to start to see come to the forefront here, I work closely, as you know, with Doug Thornton, who's a rising star in our business with his DHS background, combat Marine, and his strong presence, his love for the Lord. And then, of course, Sarah Westall, Doug Hagman, and I have been friends for, gosh, almost 20 years now. And we look at all these things together, and we're trying to push an agenda that's going to preserve our country for our kids. And that's really my motivation. I care about the young generation. I've had a nice life. I truly have. And I've been able to sidestep a lot of the Bolshevik communism that we saw in the previous administration. But our kids are not going to have that ability unless we carve the path for them. It's up to you and it's up to me to do this. And these are the kind of movements that are going to make this happen. And I would ask that you support what's going on with New California, bringing in the four provinces from Canada. Look, did you know Canada doesn't even have a constitution that's written? Yes, they get their rights from the monarchy in the UK. How sad is that? No wonder they want out. And no wonder you look at the Canadians, tough, hardy, resilient people, good people, moral people. They've been a very close ally, but they're run by horrible people. Their politicians, I mean, look, they've got good ones that resist, but a lot of their politicians are people that you just really want nothing to do with. And as an American, like when they had the trucker strike, and if you gave a trucker a pizza, they stole your bank account, they being Trudeau and the government. That's how bad it is there. No wonder they want out. We need to support them. By the way, I saw something on South Park last night in my hotel stay. Turned on the TV to take a rest, and there was South Park, came right up. And I haven't watched South Park in years. And it's kind of funny. Um, there was a Trump-like character they were interviewing about the border, and he was giving really extremist views, way beyond what Donald Trump's calling for. And then they woke up one morning and one night, the Canada had built a 20-foot wall separating the United States from Canada. And one of the characters of South Park says, "We're not standing for this." And he jumped in a barrel and entered Canada through Niagara Falls. It was quite funny, but it does show the division that's coming to our countries because of the tariff issue. And I don't think Trump has a choice. You can't let a country tariff the hell out of your products and you don't respond. Your manufacturers, your small business, and ultimately your laborers suffer because of this. Trump is the working man's president, and he's not going to allow this to happen. And this wall that we saw in South Park is really metaphorical representation, an accurate one of what's happening right now, what Trudeau has tried to do by butting up with communist China and by rejecting the United States. And the Canadians don't want this. We have a large Canadian audience, and they tell me all the time, "Dave, we hate our government. We like yours a lot better." Of course, they weren't saying that about Biden. They were talking about Trump. I believe that when the facts are known and the media misrepresentations are exposed, that Canada is going to want to be in the United States. And you also wonder too, if the four northern states in Mexico want the same thing, rid of the cartel, American protection. Thank God for America. We could see an expansion there as well too. In another development, I wanted to point this out before I close. I was shocked, and I'm not a BlackRock fan. ESG, sorry, baby. No, you don't get to enforce your political views on the corporate structure and make the corporate buying public bend the knee to BlackRock policies. They are not the fourth branch of government, but they've done something that's interesting, and I might almost have to praise them, and I'm shocked. I was concerned when BlackRock purchased both ends of the Panama Canal, and they're controlling it. And I thought, oh man, we're worried about the Chinese. We got to worry about BlackRock. That was my initial reaction. Well, as I've come to find out in my discussions with Paul, that BlackRock is working with Trump in this regard to keep China away from controlling it. Strange bedfellows are politics, aren't they? Scratching your head on this one? So am I. We're going to have to wait to find out more information, but that's the story from the inside. BlackRock and Trump working together.